Yes, just thank you all so much for being here. It feels like a little while since the Roundtable's had a virtual event, so it's great to be in this space with you all. This is Teaching Artistry for Social Impact with the International Teaching Artists Collaborative and the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. We are super thrilled to bring you all together today to hear about this very exciting program. My name is Kinsey Keck. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with brown hair. It's pulled back in a low ponytail today, but I do have long bangs that come down to touch my very big, round, wire-framed glasses that I'm wearing. I'm also wearing a mustard-colored, cozy turtleneck sweater. I'm sitting in my kitchen, and you can see a Texas right behind me over my shoulder. I'm from Texas, and some other artwork on my walls. I'm also the programming and membership manager for the New York City Arts and Education Roundtable. For those who don't know, the Roundtable is a grassroots service organization that does work to improve and advance the state of arts education in New York City and beyond through professional development, workshops, advocacy work, online resources, and platforms to connect our arts education field. Although we are currently meeting online today from many different places, the Roundtable would like to acknowledge that we do work and live on unceded lands. Mannahatta, or the place that is widely known as New York City, is where I am calling in from. And it does exist on the contemporary and ancestral homelands of the Canarsie, Munsee, Lenape, and Wappinger people. And these sovereign nations and communities still thrive here as we continue to occupy their lands. So we would just like to give a moment of respect to them, as well as the Black and immigrant communities, which have helped build the city that we know today. As we recognize that all of our pasts, presents, and futures are intertwined, we just want to take a moment to uplift a few contemporary Indigenous arts organizations in the area that we can all support and learn from. I'm just going to paste those in the chat. Encourage you on your own time to learn more about these organizations, support them with donations if you can, and also feel free to please share any resources or organizations in the chat that you would like to uplift. And as you heard when you entered, this session is being recorded. That recording will be edited and made available on the Roundtable's YouTube channel and website. You will get a link to that in your follow-up email next week. And that is it for me. It is my sincere pleasure to welcome our facilitators today from ITAC. We have Gowri Savoor, ITAC Impact Climate Project Manager. And we're also welcoming Eric Booth, the founder of ITAC. Thank you both so much for being with us today. I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kinsey. Hello, everybody. I am Eric Booth, an aging white man in a gray shirt. And behind my shoulder is an artwork made by Gowri Savoor. I'm a teaching artist since the late 1970s, most of that time in New York City, and now I live in the Hudson River Valley. And Gowri, can you do a one-sentence intro of yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. I'm Gowri Savoor. I'm a visual teaching artist. I live in Cary, North Carolina, and I am a British Indian woman. I have brown skin and dark brown hair, and wearing a green sweater with a salmon colored t-shirt, and I'm sitting in a very messy home studio today.
We are the co-authors of this online curriculum, Teaching Artistry for Social Impact, and we are truly delighted to share it with you. This project ate a year of our lives. We had no idea how hard it is to create an intense online curriculum in a way that works for teaching artists, that isn't just hours and hours of talking and presentation of documents. And its purpose was to really set a bar for the field that's a reach. We're assuming the people who take this course are basically competent teaching artists. They know how to design and lead a workshop. And this is a course that if they want to extend those skills toward social impact, this course that takes some 20+ hours to complete lead you through the key elements of our field, which we will introduce the course elements in this session, and has you complete a project of your own design by the end of the course. For those who aren't familiar with it, ITAC is the International Teaching Artist Collaborative that I co-founded 10 years ago. It's now a full-time, year-round organization that is a lively corner of the world with over 3,000 members and lots of activities happening. And this is our first online course. In this particular session, we're going to get a little information from you because we're still learning about where teaching artists stand in relation to social impact work and their own careers. So there'll be a bit of a polling piece. Then we will introduce the course to you. Then we'll have a chunk of time when we're eager to address your questions about the course or anything about even creating an online teaching artist course. Both Gowri and I will introduce different elements of it. Then we have an invitation coming to you, which is, if you're finding this interesting, we invite you to join a cohort that will take this course together starting at the beginning of next year. Because it's asynchronous by design, so you do it kind of alone and kind of lonely over the course of many hours, we want to experiment with a group that takes it together. So you're taking it individually, but we're going to have regular check-ins, and it's a big learning for us, and we hope it'll make it a lot more resonant for those who are taking it. So we will offer a little sign-up form during this workshop, or you can access it later, to join me and Gowri in a guided journey through taking this course. We also wanted to invite you to join ITAC. It's free. I'm going to put it's already there. Kinsey's already put the links in. One of the important reasons to join ITAC is that's where you find out when we have new commissions. That's where you find out the results we've learned from our teaching artist research projects. So it's really the entry point to getting involved with ITAC. And mostly what's thrilling about it is finding out what our colleagues around the world are doing, what they're thinking, what innovative projects they've got going. So you can sign up for ITAC. It's free right on that website. I want to define social impact for you. It's defined in many different ways. The way we understood it for this course is, and we need to define it because good teaching artist work in any setting has social impact. You do great work with a 4th grade classroom, and that has social impact. This course is focused on social impact directly addressing a challenge in a community. This course is particularly built around climate crisis response, but we made sure that all the features of the course actually would pay off if you wanted to design a project for wellness or democracy or social and racial justice. So it is teaching artists tools and work aimed at having an impact on a social challenge. And the word teaching artist, in ITAC, we just won't get into semantic squabbles. When we say teaching artist, we think community artist and social practice artist and artist in residence. We are all one community. So we say teaching artist, but it's the big tent of our field. Gowri, do you have anything to offer before we take some quick polls?
Other than that quick reminder that Kinsey gave us that the course is absolutely free.
Good reminder. Okay, this is where we want to get a little information from you. So Kinsey, can you crank up the first of the 4 polls? So how do you feel about taking online teaching artist professional development course? Online, teaching artist. What do you think? How do we as a field feel about using online learning for professional development? All right, let's look at our results here. We have this group the majority of this group is really interested. It's a slightly self-identifying group. We have to admit that. And we have a little bit of caution, but nobody who doesn't want to do it. Okay, well, that's about what we expected. Let's go to poll number 2, which is asking about focus of ITAC course. Which features of this ITAC course would be especially interesting to you? This is a multiple choice answer. So we're looking for what features are especially appealing to our colleagues. All right, and here's our results. Well, that's rewarding. That social impact is the reason people are, the strongest reason people are drawn to this course. And the fact that it's got a teaching artist mind. It isn't some industrial approach to this issue. We are coming from it from our shared perspective. And in fact, the course is filled with the expertise, the voice, the wisdom of teaching artists who've practiced a lot. We will keep these results. We're going to want to check them out, but really interesting for us to know that social impact is the key attractor. Let's go to that third question. And it's a good reality question. What might hold you back? The main reason, single answer, that might hold you back from taking this course. All right, so look at those results. We're busy and responsible. We don't want to sign up if we can't finish it, and we are just too busy to even sign up for it. That is no surprise, and it's part of the reason we designed it as asynchronous, thinking if there were any way that overbusy teaching artists might include an extra project in their lives, it would have to be highly customizable. It would have to be able to fit into the corners and pockets and weekend afternoons so that they could manage their way through it. And a good quarter of us are afraid we can't even manage our way through it. I know the feeling. And let's go to our final poll, which is looking at your experience of this term social impact. What is your experience with social impact projects as a teaching artist? Okay, so over half of this group have had direct involvement or have led or done a lot of social impact work. So this particular course is really tapping a body of expertise you know from experience. And a little less than half are in the I'm interested, I'm kind of learning part of this work. So interesting that a group who would be interested to find out more about the course already has pretty much experience in it. All right, that tells us a lot about who we're talking with today. And I want to introduce, thank you, we're done with the polls. And we will keep those results, they help us. We asked a group, we've done one other online introduction to this workshop, to this course before it was fully realized. And we challenged that group with this question that I'm going to challenge you to, which is, if thinking of all the stuff you might want to include in a course on teaching artistry for social impact, and I will confess that my first draft of the curriculum, the people at Cadenza took one look at it and said, nice going, Eric. That would take about 120 hours to take that course. If you were going to include everything that you think is so absolutely essential, cut it way back. So we did. So the challenge to you, what 3 things would you think of as absolutely essential to include in an online course on teaching artistry for social impact? If you're feeling bold, pop them into the chat. And in a minute, we're going to show you a word cloud that came from that group when we first introduced this challenge last summer. What are the absolute essentials? Unless you want to offer a 120-hour course. All right, starting to come in. Facilitation, how to manage group discussion, building trust in the group, quality of communication, safe communication, storytelling, flexibility, agility, inclusivity. Oh yeah, here they come. Oh, right. Identifying good targets to address. Ensemble check-ins. Yep. Peer collaboration. Knowing the demographics. All right. This is very satisfying for me to see you come up with tons of 120-hour ideas. As we went through the misery of boiling it down, Steve's into assessment in all capitals with exclamation points. Let's take a look at the word cloud. This is the three answers from our last summer teaching artist group. You can tell there were a lot of Americans in the group. Those are US priorities on the front burner there. Thanks, Gowri. And indeed, all the key ideas that we ended up prioritizing in the curriculum are there, mostly in the larger letters too. All right. We're getting close to actually looking at the course now. But before we do, we have an attractive introductory film. It's less than 3 minutes, and it gives you a little bit of a feel for the course in a more attractive way than my talking about it.
Deepen the social impact of your work.
Sorry.
Are you interested in approaches? For example, how to embed evaluation in your project from the very beginning so you can measure the social impact of your work? Are you interested in connecting with other like-spirited artists around the world? Teaching artists, participatory artists, community artists, social practice artists who share your passion? Then the International Teaching Artists Collaborative, ITAC, has the online course for you. It's ambitious, and it's called Teaching Artistry for Social Impact. Enroll in this course, and you will not only reflect upon and deepen your own work. When you complete it, you will have a fully realized passion project designed and ready to bring into the real world. In this course, you'll hear from experts in the field who offer their guidance and advice. We've even commissioned a proprietary survey with 12 key pieces of advice from deeply experienced practitioners in the field. You'll learn the tools that the most advanced practitioners are using: empathy mapping, how to create and use a logic model, create a stakeholder map, and think about cultivating stakeholders. And you'll get to know some commissioned ITAC teaching artists who are doing this work on the ground. We've got case studies fully explicated, so you'll get a feel and a sense of what it's like to do this work well. They'll be learning right alongside you, some of them, so you'll get the feel of how they use these tools in their projects and then what the results look like. So join us to expand your project development skills, to connect to an international network of artists who are equally passionate about social change through the arts, and to advance your personal strengths as a creative leader driving social change through the arts. Join us.
Thank you, Gowri. And by the way, Cadenza is the largest arts learning platform in the world. And they were really helpful as guides to us in how to create this course. And just a little side mention, Cadenza offers a structure called a mini course that any teaching artist can use their setup, their format to create their own 6-hour, 8-hour course, whatever it is, and earn some money from it. So you might want to check out Cadenza and mini courses if you have a thought in the back of your mind for a course you might want to create. I don't know that you want to do it after I told you it took us a year to create this one, but in fact, you can do it a lot faster than we did. Gowri, before we jump into the details of the course itself, any thoughts, overview thoughts that you think we should add?
No, just keep a really open mind, although there's a lot of content here, but the asynchronous part I think is really useful, and you'll see how we can interact with one another and our peers and teaching artists globally, which I think is a really attractive part of this process.
All right. And for those not familiar with the term asynchronous, it means you take it on your own. You go into the course when you want to, you undertake the assignments when you want to, but there are ways that you connect with others. And if you want to join, it is 100% asynchronous, but there are ways you can check in with others. Gowri will share some of those. And if you join this cohort that we hope to launch, we're actually going to have check-in points, so it's not so lonely. You'll be taking it in your own time, but you can check in with others and chat about how it's going and support one another. All right, Gowri, let's go to the dreaded PowerPoint and introduce some of the features of this course. And this is the first one for you to just take a moment with. Here's the map. There are 10 parts, and we've got a little list under each one for what is contained in that part. And this is sort of our answer to the word cloud. This is what we chose to include. And you may be picking up that every single one of those features is worked on in a personal journal and contributes to the design of your own personal social impact project. So here's your journal. And then throughout the course, you apply the learning to a project you would want to bring into the world. And this is what the project template looks like, but you go back and forth. You gather your thoughts in the journal, and then you shape them into the project template that builds over the course so that when you're finished, you have a fully realized project and you get a coach. When you're finished, you get to check in with ITAC will assign you a personal coach to go through your project with you, see if there's ways you can tighten it up, areas maybe you weren't clear on, so that that project is as strong as it can be by the time you finish. And the next slide, this is the survey that was mentioned in that film. We did a survey of 75 experienced teaching artists, asking them 12 significant questions about doing this work. And we distilled that learning, we analyzed it down into what's basically advice from experienced teaching artists. And that appears at 12 different points directly related to the part of the curriculum you're working on. And the next slide. The Continuum of Impact. Yes, for the exclamation points around impact. We make sure all of our commissioned artists actually assess the impact of their work. And we use the tool of the Continuum of Impact from Animating Democracy, which is a division of Americans for the Arts. We have found this is the most user-friendly impact measurement tool we know. It guides you in how to determine where impact is likely to be evident, efficient ways to gather documentation. We have a section on documentation so you don't go crazy. And then steps of analysis so that your conclusions of impact are based on data and not just how many smiles there were and how good it felt. So this is a grown, a kind of a responsible feature of all of ITAC's commissioned projects. And we make sure you get a feel for how to measure impact in your own work. And next, this is an empathy map, which is a tool for making sure you're hearing your participants' worldview, their cultural perspectives well. Of course, we expect teaching artists to be not just respectful, but fascinated by their participants. And this is a tool that helps you do that. And this next tool is a logic model. teaching artists often cringe from this tool or the mere thought of applying logic to their work. It's a lot simpler than it looks once you get into it, but it's an elegant way to organize a whole project, to line up your intentions with your activities, with your expected outcomes, with your data. And man, when you have filled out a logic model, funders are very inclined to think you know what you're doing. We have a whole instructional section in the course about how to fill out a logic model. And next.
Yeah, and I think I can take it from here, Eric, if you...
Thank you. I'm
yeah.
hearing myself. Go for it.
So Eric took you through some of the content for that course and the purpose for doing it. I'm just going to show you some of the tools that we have on offer and the different ways that we can connect and interact with each other. So somebody did ask for the course link. I'll definitely put that in the chat when we stop the share, the specific link from Cadenza, and I apologize for not having done that before.
Put it in right now. There it is.
Thank you. So when you do sign up for the course, you'll have an interface that looks a bit like this. Each of the sessions that you saw in that course map will appear in turn, and you will basically be taken through a kind of carousel of workshops, which you see on the right hand side, and as soon as you finish one, you'll be taken to the other, and you can pause and go back at any time. At the bottom you see all the different tools that we have, and I'm going to talk you through those in a moment, and in real time who's been signing up for those, who has like made an entry. So it's a really nice way, if somebody's made a comment, you can go in and respond to them or give them a pat on the back, or just sort of read their work. So that's a really nice part of the interface. Just to look at some of the ways in which we interact. So in earlier this year, ITAC commissioned 5 teaching artists to do social impact projects. And Katie, Abner, Pavel, Chris, and the Africa US TA exchange, and there's about 14 artists in that TA exchange, all undertook projects, and they also did the course as well, and it kind of coincided really beautifully with us writing the course, because they were doing the tools, the logic model, the continuum, there's another one called What Matters Most, and the stakeholder map. They were doing those in real time, so we meet regularly through the course, and they're kind of like designated learners, so they are learning the course as you are doing the course, and they talk together about their challenges and what they found fascinating, and that's something that I take them through that process. We're going to hear from Abner. This is like a little clip from the course and how the teaching artists interact with each other. It sounds like filling in the what matters most allows you to ask different questions as well, of yourself and of those around you. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. It is, because being a teaching artist is both a personal and a sort of like you're part of the community, but also this is something very personal to you. That's like what Pavel has mentioned, because I learn, and I agree with that. In fact, that's why I became, because it's 200%, learning to teach. So I thought, why not actually? So it's both like, to lack of a better term, both selfish and a selfless act, in fact, to be an artist, to be a teaching artist, because you kind of want to continue, but in the process of this continuum is also you learning and giving back, and we're learning and giving back. And I start my session with that, like, I'm here because I actually want to learn from you. So the degree of your generosity in this space is also the amount of what I can learn from you and what I can provide you. So the more that you're committed to me, then I can commit to you. That's how, like, laying the foundation there. So thank you for that, Pavel. But yeah,
I just like this mathematics of generosity, that it's a condition also, but of course our own desires to fulfill our needs, expectations, and yeah, beautiful.
I loved what Abner said about, it just grounding you in the process and not this final project, whatever it is. And things are gonna fly out the window, but as long as you've helped to create a safe space and you're connecting with your participants and your community. And, you know, it's really about how everyone feels that week. I mean, that's what matters most, right? So yeah, I appreciated that.
Just to let you know that the case studies that were featured in the short film are case studies of the first cohort. So they were the teaching artists selected for grants in 2021. So they had case studies from their projects, and then the 2022 artists featured in this course. This is another tool that we use throughout the course. It's called Flipgrid. It's a really great tool. Anyone can download it for free. You can use it in your own work. And it's a video response system. So instead of kind of responding through a forum, you can just respond through a 60 or 90-second video. And it's just another fun way and a different way to respond to some of the questions. And this is how it would look when you sign up for Flipgrid. You'll record a video through the app itself. You can also do it separately in a third party and then upload it, but it allows you to do that through Flipgrid. And Padlet is another piece of software that we use. It's also free and that anyone can use. I've used it myself in other projects that are not ITAC related because it really is great. This is how you share information. So you can do it in so many different ways. You can upload photos, you can upload videos, you can upload text. You can have a combination of all three. And we use this quite regularly through the course. This is one of the Padlet grids, a very simple one, and you can see that this was right at the beginning of the course before anyone actually signed up. So we've put the questions here. When you go back and look at this same Padlet, you'll see that it's been populated by lots of different entries from TAs all over the world. And the forum is the third way in which we can interact with one another. And this is just an example of one of the forum activities. A forum is like a traditional message board. So you would type in your answer and you can comment and respond and upvote different comments. And that's just another tool on the course that you can use. Should we look at the cohort slide or should we come back to that, Eric?
Yeah, let's look at it. It's a good time for it. Okay.
So do you want to talk about this or?
You wrote it up. Why don't you do it?
Okay, I can do that. So this is, as Eric mentioned before, we are inviting all of you to join a cohort. So you'll be taking the course in your own time, but we do have some set meeting dates where you will meet with Eric and I. We are suggesting 60 days to complete the course. The first meeting on Zoom with Eric and myself would be February 6th or in that week. And we suggest that you get up to session 3. The second would be a February 27th, so that's 3 weeks after that. And we hope that you would get up to session 6, and then we'll have a final celebration. And we can invite other Impact Climate Collective members to that too, to come and celebrate with you. And that will happen on March 20th or thereabouts. So if you are interested in joining the cohort, please look at the sign up link that's going to be in the chat soon, or feel free to email either Eric or myself. And for the purposes of the recording, if you are watching this recording after this cohort start date has finished, just get in touch with us and we can let you know when the next cohort is beginning.
Thank you, Gowri. Let's invite questions from this group. Jocelyn's got a question. You can also just unmute and ask, but Jocelyn's question, do we have an estimate of how many hours the course is designed to take in 60 days? We aren't sure. We've heard a kind of range of answers from people who are taking it, but our best guess is 20 to 25 hours of total of your time. That's like actually doing the work and sharing the work. So that's our best guess. I know there's some speedy people who have been doing it faster, and some of the slower people we haven't heard from yet because they haven't finished. So we don't exactly know, but that's our best guess. Other questions you have, and we also invite questions about making an online course, since Gowri and I lived through it. If there are no questions, and feel free to pop in anytime as we continue.
Eric, I see Shloka has a hand raised.
Okay, yes, sorry.
Thank you, Eric and Gowri. My question was, I hope it's not indecent, but usually, like, who pays for this?
Aha, you ask a beautiful question. Cadenza is a pay platform, and thanks to their generosity and our urgency, it's free. This is a course that is free for any teaching artist around the world, including the coaching that comes at the end of it. It's a free course. And we are just exploring whether, in fact, there might be, academic credit. We're looking to make partnerships where that maybe can work out, but we're still at the early stages of this. It probably could apply as a continuing education credit. Keith is asking if those 120 hours are over what period of time. It's about 20 hours. The 120 was my overabundant original plan. So Keith, it's 20 hours is what we're estimating. And for the sign-up group, it's over 2 months. If you want to join the cohort, that will roughly fall over about 2 months.
20 hours in 2 months then.
About, yep. And that since you're in control of your own pace, some people go faster and some people go slower. So it's really hard to give a hard estimate at this point yet. Yeah, Steve.
Hi, Eric. I'm sorry if I'm not clear about the course. Is the process of learning to create the project focused on climate change in the course as a model, and then we can extrapolate to other things? Or as part of the course, could I be designing something about, segregation while somebody else is designing climate change?
Right. It's the perfect question. All of our examples are climate, but everything we address about the tools to use apply to any social impact work. So it is our full expectation you could take this course with an intention to do a health project or a social justice project. The examples you would see would be these case studies that happened in climate, but all of the tools that are used are directly applicable to any social impact work you might want to do. The reason for that is all of our commissions were out of a climate initiative, but when we designed the course, we quite intentionally made sure that every single tool and every single instruction applied across any social impact area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of questions in the chat there. There's one from Keith, and there's one from Nick.
So Keith says, so am I to teach in order to learn along with my fellows? The course is designed for individuals who want to take their work to social impact, but I wouldn't be surprised that you're doing co-learning at the same time. We're really thinking of one person designing one project, but that is highly flexible configuration. It could be collegial learning, or you could be learning and teaching at the same time. We don't have enough experience yet, since it's all brand new, to give you a good hard examples of a variety of ways people have used it. But as you're taking it, if you get ideas for how to use the tools in it with your students, take them and run.
Keith, I see, has a hand up as well. Keith, did that answer your question, or would you like to come off of mute and add anything?
Well, thank you in regards to the presentation and the opportunity. I was drawn here out of interest in regards to a nonprofit I'm a director of, and we have adult STEM learning as well as a journaling project as well. And it's a creative process, and it's something that we participate as a collective as well as individuals. And I feel as though that we could benefit from this experience. And I'd want to share along those lines on an individual basis. If like this isn't something that the collective wants to do on an individual basis, I'd like to kind of like share, explore, study, and teach along the lines of the topic that I dropped in the comments, which is like one of my long-term goals, in which I'm growing my nonprofit along the lines with, in order to achieve sustainable development goals, and also wrap minds around what the future would look like in a society of human beings of different shapes, shades, colors, sizes, and whatnot, extending outward into an endless future, and endless worlds.
Keith, I think it might be worth your starting into the course and discovering what's valuable as you go and sharing as you go. And I think to some degree, adapting as you go. You take the tool and then apply it for the way it's really feeling strong for your group. So yeah, weigh in, it's free. Find out how the tools are speaking to you, use its offers, and see if, in fact, it can serve the purposes you have in mind. That's really our hope with this project. Since nobody's making any money on it, we are hoping it really helps the field. There's a couple of other questions have come in. I see Nick is asking what kinds of support and guidance you have access to along the way. We don't, in the cohort, which is this offer we're making, Gowri and I are going to be checking in. That's not the usual pattern, because we expect there will be hundreds of people. There already been several hundred people have registered. And so we can't provide ongoing support for people who are taking the course unless you're in this cohort. And that's a way where we can learn what it's like to take the course. So we will be more available than to a cohort. We're hoping cohorts will develop around the world, that colleagues will take it together, maybe with a college professor or maybe with an experienced colleague, so that there can be ad hoc support developed by different cohorts. And Irene, go for it. If you want to start tomorrow, jump in and go. You've got the registration link, just jump in. And if you want to join the cohort, you can be our scout. You can let us know what's coming and how it's been for you. So yeah, start anytime. There are not limited spots. It's designed for any number of people to take it. And in this particular cohort, we didn't know how many might sign up, but we thought we could manage a group whatever size. So no limits. Other questions?
See that Victor has a hand raised.
Victor.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just curious on the February 6th and 27th Zoom dates, what hours those would be?
We don't know yet. We would do the inevitable doodle action, to find the time that's most convenient for the most number of people. And you could start lobbying early. You could let us know early, don't you dare set it at this time, and we will adhere to that. So we don't know. We're making it up as we go to make it work for as many as possible.
All right, thanks.
If we don't have other questions, we had a little challenge for you. There's a bit of learning that we could do from you. So we're going to squeeze it out of you. We have 2 questions that we would love your answers in a Google Doc that Gowri's going to share. And here's the 2 questions that we can learn from you. Having heard a bit about the course, what benefits would you be eager to get from it, even knowing the limitations of an asynchronous course? So do you have any thoughts for that first question about what benefits you think you might get if you took this course? That's question number 1. And question number 2, if you took the course, how would the skills and resources of the course benefit your work or a community you work with? This helps us figure out how to offer this course. So there, Gowri's got the link to a Google Doc, and if you are feeling generous, type in your answers to those two questions to help us learn how a first impression of this course lands on a colleague teaching artist. Yeah, it will help with presenting evaluation, impact evaluation. It really will help with that.
Jocelyn, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a specific project that I'm working on that in its current plan doesn't quite fit any of the model of the social impact project. That sounds like what you're talking about. But this is also a project that I'm expecting to be my main focus for the foreseeable future, maybe 10, maybe 15 years, maybe 20, I don't know. And so I think I'm answering my question, but I guess my question is, I think actually my real question is, would it be possible to meet briefly with one of you and not take everybody's time and have a conversation about whether this really is something that I should be doing now or whether I should be putting my energy towards the other things that I'm already doing with the project? Does that make sense?
Yep. Jocelyn, I'm going to put my email here. I'm going to send you my email. We'll talk.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Eric. I really appreciate it.
And I think we have a message. We might want to hear from Hildos, who has taken, I think, maybe taken this course or a course.
I meant I just enrolled in the cohort and the course.
Fantastic. How have you started?
No, I just did that right now.
All right.
Yes.
Do you want to join the cohort or carry on by yourself?
I did join the cohort too.
All right. Fantastic. We'll see you in January.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Let's see. Did we another question that I was missing? Maybe not. Anyway, thank you all for your answers, which are extremely useful to us. It's really the first time we're getting this kind of information to help us get a grip on this thing that we've made that we want to use to advance the field. So my thanks to you. For those of you who are interested in taking the course with us, see you in January. Gowri, before we hand it back to our friends at the Roundtable, any thoughts from you?
Just thank you all for your time and look forward to seeing some of you at some of the meeting dates.
Sounds good.
All righty. Thank you so much, Eric and Gowri, for taking the time to introduce this course and walk people through it, and for the very generous invitation of putting together the cohort for this. Before folks leave, I just want to share with you that the Roundtable has a couple of opportunities coming up for teaching artists that are also free. They're accessible online. The first is our TA open space. This will be the second meeting, but we're going to continue to host these monthly. So if you would like to learn more about that and sign up, I can put a link in the chat for you. Our next open space is going to be held next week, Tuesday, December 20th from 5 to 6 p.m. And it's truly what it says. It's an open space. So teaching artists all gather together. We have one TA who's going to lead it, get everyone started with an icebreaker, and then it's an open space for you to bring your topics you want to discuss, questions you may have, problems you may want, some community help solving, and also just a chance to network and to broaden your sort of TA community. So please join us for that. Following that, after the holidays, we are hosting our third annual Teaching Artists Tuesdays series that are virtual workshops starting Tuesday, January 10th. There will be 3 in a row, and you can learn more about those workshop offerings and register for that free series at the link that I just shared in the chat. And that is it. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you take the course and join the cohort if you can. I will follow up next week with a link to the recording to this in case you want to share it out, as well as links to the course and then the cohort sign up as well. So everyone have a lovely evening. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Kinsey and Roundtable.